have I agreement of the meeting that we go forward to item 9C of the agenda?
No,
No?
because we need to do item 7 first.
Item 7 first. All right, we'll get declaration of interest and dispensation requests, please, if anybody's got any.
I'd like to declare non-registrable interest in 9C as a member of the family.
Yeah, could I declare, I'm looking for it now. Old Ways, just consider the state of Old Ways, being a member of the Palliative Member of Historical and Heritage Society and holding a licence for maintenance and conservation in that area.
Could I declare a similar interest in item 10?
Item 10.
Yes,
Item 10, yeah.
I made as well, Joe.
Right, shall we carry on with any more objections to me moving on to 9C then? Okay, we'll move on to 9C then.
Mr. Chairman, so you aren't giving any chairman your maps?
Well, this is, no, not really, so I'm incorporating this in my remarks. I've got nothing else to say at the moment that's making any difference to anything, so we'll go on to 9C. Let's get this out of the way.
We're not missing the agenda out, are we?
No, we're not missing the agenda.
9C out of
Just
out
taking
of order,
it
and
out.
then go back to the
We'll
agenda.
go back to the agenda. This is just to help Mr. Lund get away early, as he's coming early. And we're trying to be helpful. He's come to advise us on the constitutional arrangements for our board of inquiry. That's what I understand.
Do you want me to kick off?
Yes, please.
As I'm here to offer some help and guidance if it is of value to you, of obviously how the parish council determines matters of complaints and controversy within the parish is entirely a matter for itself. And in relation to the parish council and Ag Lane, I'm not offering any comments or judgments about the merits of any issues or controversy over that issue. It's simply to try and help you find a way through, because what has been described to me is that the parish council is a little stymied in how best to go forward with this matter, that there are a number of issues on the table that need to be looked at and resolved, and that the parish council has found it difficult to actually make progress in how to settle those, and that actually it's becoming an issue that is detrimental to the proper conduct of council business because you're getting bogged down in the issue repeatedly. So it's to try and draw some sort of a line under it in a way that meets the concerns of the people who have expressed concerns. Now, I understand that you've had some advice from Sheena Spence at the Yorkshire Local Councils Association, and Sheena's view is that rather than this item taking up business at main parish council meetings, it would be better if the matter was delegated to a group of people to go away, look at the issues, investigate the validity of the concerns that have been raised, and present a report back to the council. And that, I think, is perfectly sound advice. But in reflecting on that, my concern with that approach is whether, in reality, the parish council is in a position where 2 or 3 of you are genuinely independent enough to have the confidence of the other members of the parish council that any investigation has been very, very independently pursued. That's not to cast aspersions on anybody's character. It is simply, I think, that my understanding is that this has got quite personal as well, that there are a number of people involved who are members of the Ag Lane Group and Parish Council, and that it's an issue that has touched most of you around the table. So would you be able to find 2 or 3 of your colleagues that you would have confidence in could get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then well-meaning though Sheena's suggestion was, I don't think it will take you to where you want to be. The other alternative is that you actually, if you want to pursue this and you want to get to a resolution, that you ask somebody very much more externally than members of the parish council to look at it. And it seems to me that there are a number of options, but they are not without some cost to the parish council. One of those, for example, might be, if there aren't three of you that the others would have confidence in, is there a smaller number that could then be supplemented by somebody perhaps suggested by the local councils association? So one or two members of the parish council supplemented by one or two people suggested from an external parish council somewhere else that could advise. That might be something that you would want to consider. I think the advantages of that are a degree of independence. The disadvantage is that it would be lay people who would be investigating the matter, and if some of the issues are around legal propriety and interests and financial propriety, then that group of people might not have the skills, the experience and the expertise to come to a view on what is appropriate and what isn't. The next alternative, I think, would be to perhaps approach an organisation like the Local Clerks Society, which is a body which represents local council clerks, to see whether they have somebody of some experience and expertise who might look at the issue. They would have a background in local council administration. They would have perhaps some insight into the legal context, and they could potentially be independent, but drawn from North Yorkshire, and they may be able to come in, do an investigation, and provide a report for you. I forget the gentleman's name, Brian Metcalf might be the person that you could approach to see whether that's possible. Second alternative is to ask the district council to do it. For the district council to appoint an officer to look at the issues, and you probably get one of our solicitors onto it, to look at the issues, to look at the complaints that we receive, get to the bottom of them and provide you with a report. We could do that to help the parish through this particular situation, but we would have to make a charge for that to recover the cost of that officer's time in making the report. And you would have to have some confidence that you will think that the district council could be independent in that. If you had concerns that we wouldn't be, then I don't think that will solve the problem. The third alternative is to go to the sorts of organisations that I sometimes go to investigate complaints that are made about councillors, where I think that the level of expertise that's needed is beyond my capacity, or where I am, because it may be a district councillor that's been complained about, where I have a potential conflict of interest, so I don't think it's appropriate for me or my staff to investigate. And there are organisations of permanent solicitors that do standards reviews, standards complaints, investigations and other types of investigation. They would have access to all of the legal expertise that was required to give you a view. They would be completely independent. They would have no axe to grind, and I think wouldn't be perceived by others to have no axe to grind, and could provide you with a very comprehensive and well-considered report. But it would come at a cost, and it would be quite a sizable cost, I think, for you to resolve the matter. But there are a range there of options that you could consider. I haven't a clue what or whether the local council's clerk society would make a charge for that work. I would expect that they would. I would imagine the district council's charge would be somewhere to the order of £2,000 or £3,000. And I would imagine if you went to a legal firm and asked for a report, it would be in the magnitude of £3,000 to £5,000 for a report, just to put that into some context. The other matter, I don't advocate this as the solution, but it is a solution that gets you beyond the matter continually clogging up your agendas at this meeting would be to say to those individuals that have concerns, there are other statutory, regulatory, investigatory bodies that you could go to if you have concerns about actions that are perceived to have been carried out by the parish council. So if there is an allegation that charity rules have been breached, you go to the charity commission with those concerns. If you think that some of the rules around applications for national lottery funding have been breached, then you can go to the national lottery regulator. If you think that councillors, parish councillors have breached charity code of conduct, then you can submit a complaint to the monitoring officer, to me, at District Council, and we will investigate it. And so you could, if you wish, say, if somebody has genuine concerns about the perception of probity of the parish council in its relationship with the Hadley group, there are other bodies that you can go to. And I should have added, and if you think criminal offences have been committed, you can go to the police. So you could, as a parish council, say, we draw that line under these proceedings, and if somebody has a concern that they're not satisfied has been resolved, then there are other avenues that you can approach, that the parish council is taking the decision that it is not going to invest any more time or energy into an investigation because it's not becoming a productive endeavour for the parish council. None of those are easy options. They will all likely to land you into some controversy and criticism, but I would suggest it's probably no more than the controversy and criticism you're getting now through being unable to resolve the situation. So I'm happy to explore any of those options with you further, or just leave it for you to discuss them, or anything else by way of an approach that you would want to discuss. Those were the issues and the potential solutions that occurred to me when I was discussing it with your client.
Thank you very much for your advice. You have to consider it.
Mr. Chairman, I think the important thing is that it gets resolved one way or the other. People's names need to be cleared, or people need to be held to account for actions that they've done. We cannot, I mean, as a relatively new councillor since June this year, I think it was when I first started, I have no wish to be associated with a parish council that's been brought into disrepute for whatever reason. It's heading down that path. I don't like the situation. I don't like to be a representative under those terms. So I think it needs to be resolved as quickly as possible. Let's get it off the agenda. And let's get on with what we're here to do, which is look after the interests of the local community. Because certainly in the 6 months that I've been on this council, I don't think we've done that in any respect whatsoever. End of story as far as I'm concerned. So how it's resolved, then that's a matter for the council. Who actually votes on how it's resolved is another matter. And perhaps the chairman would like to consider that as well.
We've already looked into that too.
Can you tell me what the result is then?
Declared an interest, and people are not excluded from voting on the matter when it comes to these files.
So people are able to vote on who investigates them?
Well, a part of the whole council vote.
The advice that I would give district councillors around declarations of interest is that the regime was significantly streamlined in 2011. And so a lot of what you previously did have to declare and take no part in a meeting has been abolished. And that does lead to a certain degree of discomfort for members who think that they perhaps not be in the room, and officers when giving advice. There are 7 categories of declarable interest where you have to declare the interest, leave the room and take no part in the proceedings. That's your employment, the land you own, the land you have a beneficial interest in, any contracts that you have with the council, so in that case any contracts you have with the parish council, any tenancies that you hold with the parish council, and any securities that you own that you hold for businesses that have premises in the parish and where your stake in that business has a value greater than £25,000 or greater than 1% of the total share ownership. If any interest falls into those categories, you have to declare it and you have to leave the meeting. All other types of interest, you have to declare that you may stay, you may speak, and you may vote. That is code of conduct. There is a second consideration, which is then the question of bias and predetermination, which says, if your interest in a matter, even if you don't have to declare it and leave the meeting, is so pronounced that you would come to a meeting with a firm and settled and biased opinion on the outcome of the discussion, then you should take no part in that discussion, because you would taint the decision, and the decision could then be challenged in a court of law, and the decision could be overturned. It is very difficult to prove bias and determination categorically. The government relaxed the rules on bias and determination in 2011 and said simply making a statement expressing your opinion about something doesn't of itself show that you are biased or predetermined the matter. So that gives some limited protection to members. But the question would be, if you think you've come to this meeting with a firm view on this question and you won't be budged from that view by the debate that you hear around this meeting, then you have bias and you've predetermined the matter and you shouldn't be taking part. But if you have held an open mind, even if you have an opinion, but you've held an open mind, you can participate in the meeting.
Sorry.
Mr. Lund.
Yeah.
Mr. Lund, one of the issues is this, is a lottery grant for £10,000.
I cannot get into the merits of the complaint. I really cannot.
No, you say contact the lottery, National Lottery. The National Lottery has blacked this parish council for applying for any funding because of the actions of certain people.
Can you stop please, Mr. Childers?
So there we are, we cannot go to the lottery.
Mr. Lund, you can't do that.
You're barring yourself, you're barring yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm a member of that Glen group. I'm under suspicion as well as anyone else. I want it cleared up on my behalf, but I can't get it cleared up because a certain group is saying we won't discuss it.
We need an impartial inquiry team. That's what we've been looking at how to get. Now, Mr. Proctor has kindly offered his services to help run it, and he says he has no historic connection with the organisation or any decisions that were made in the past about it, so that's fair enough. But we're scratching around to find anybody to support him.
We've got Eddie, he's on no group at all, to do with Hagburn. We've got John, he's on no group. I'm tainted. I was on your group. You're involved because you are a photograph as a member of the group. So you can't say anything. You're biased as well.
I'm pretty biased. But I've never been a member of the group. I might have been in a photograph with the group, but...
Well, we have a little budget in there to spend.
Friend, aren't we all?
No, I
Eddie, have you
I walked away
got
from
time
it,
to be involved in that investigation?
If not in the short term, we'll do even for a month next week.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you're all worker anyway, aren't you? Yeah.
Can I say, Chairman, that apart from Robert, I think everybody in this room has been involved in hearing about this and discussing it for such a long time that I can't see anybody being impartial.
Part of the problem is that Bob's also heard the comments that have been made. So, well, it could be considered to be independent. He's obviously heard all the discussions prior to any investigation taking part. Which was very difficult for him to...
It doesn't make me biased in any way. I mean, I've listened to that.
No, I didn't say it was biased. I just said you've heard the comments. I would propose that it be somebody totally independent, a complete independence, if we're going to have an investigation.
Well, that's our other option, is to
The other
draw a line in the
alternative
lot.
is the last one, that, well, the complaints go to the regulatory bodies. Which was something I suggested at the last meeting, including the police.
Well, here we have a councillor who's put a letter together. It's been pinned up on a notice board outside where I live, slagging me off and another councillor and his wife. That's disgusting. And you know who it was.
Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about, really.
Well, the letter's here.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about. Now, how can you say you're not biased? When you slag me off in public.
Oh,
It's
let's
on
not
the
get
website.
let's not get into this.
I'd like to involve.
Do you want to see the letter?
No, I don't want to see the letter, thank you, but you'll propose...
Yes.
I've got the proof of making
Yes,
this
I've got the
accusation.
proof, yes, yes.
Yeah, public meeting.
Yes,
I,
yeah, yeah.
I said at the beginning, I can't get involved in the pros and cons of the case, but I think what the parish council is demonstrating is why there is some merit in you considering giving this to an outside external agency, because whilst there may be some very earnest and honest willingness to participate in an investigation from some members of the parish council, I would be surprised if whatever group you pull together had the confidence of the parish council as a whole. It may command a majority, and decisions of the parish council are taken by a majority, so that would not be legally illegitimate, but whether it would actually settle the matter if it didn't have the confidence of every member around the table, I think it may just make it, may just elongate the pain that you're facing, you're enduring.
We've got all the suggestions about external agencies we could approach.
Yes.
We're just going to have to look at them.
Yeah.
We've got YLCA suggested with 2 or 3 months to sort this out. It's now, the whole matter's subject to an inquiry as far as this meeting goes, so we won't waste any more agenda time talking about Hagane Green until the inquiry has met and finished and arrived at a conclusion.
Mr. Chairman, you decided this was an inquiry. There's no board take knowledge. It cannot be an inquiry. We asked, and we got the honest opinion of the YLCA, and you refused it. That was sound advice. You refused it. Because
what she was suggesting, in good faith, was that we find 2 or 3 councillors who are not associated with the problem. As Kay just said, they're not. Simple as that. They just aren't there.
She did say there was one. She did say there was one.
Well, there are 2 or 3. Yeah. And it's 2 or 3 that was recommended. There's obviously got to be more than one. If it makes things square up, I propose that we form an inquiry and an independent reacher. Would someone like to second that?
well, I propose, I will.
No, you wait, I'll wait for a second first. Have you seconded?
Yeah, it should be a totally independent.
Yeah. Can I have a counter proposal?
I kind of propose we ask Mr. Lund or his, Mr. Caroline Fleming to do this. Surely that's independent enough. Never mind the cost.
That's what we were suggesting.
That's what
the proposal was.
So you're talking about an independent.
Independent is not a council.
You didn't say which independent. There's many independents. Well, I'm suggesting one. If the gentleman will accept.
We will find the independent when we've decided we're going to have an independent inquiry, which is what the proposal was. So, unless you've got a counter proposal, can I have a show of hands on that we go for an independent inquiry, please? All may vote. So we're all going for an independent inquiry. So that's what we should do. Now, how we formulate this independent inquiry, we'll have to look at carefully with a view to what it's going to cost us.
Well, can I propose that we employ Selby as the council to do this independent inquiry, and then they can get started on it, the sooner the better.
I will second that.
So,
we would be willing to do the work if we felt that the parish council would have confidence in our independence.
Oh, I'm sure we would have.
What I can say is, I can't at this stage give you an indication of the cost, firm indication of the cost. I will try and do that if you wish. What I can give you a commitment to is we'll try and minimise that cost as much as possible.
Thank you.
After all the work that was you ought to do it.
Can I just take a step back then, John? You're proposing that, aren't you?
Yes, I'll be
And was it Robert?
Yeah, that's it.
You seconded it.
Chairman, if I may, I think the next stage is the clerk should make a written request to tell the district council, and if it's necessary, ask for a estimation of costs.
Just going to ask, I'm
A
just going
scale,
to, yeah.
a cost scale.
Is
And
everybody
then
happy?
you're in a position to make a final decision.
Is everybody happy that I do that? Yeah?
The only problem I've got with that is this going to delay for
Yeah,
another
that's
month?
just what I would say.
Yeah. I'd sooner, I mean, we know that Mr Lund will make sure that it will cost her the bare minimum. And whoever we employ, it's going to cost us. I would like to just ask him, through a letter if need be, to take charge of it and set
It
it
needs to be
rolling.
confirmed by letter, doesn't it? But for you to accept tonight that, yeah, you will take on board.
The point I was going to make was we've had a suggested cost, and if that suggested cost is put in writing, that's an acceptable cost for the parish clerk to say yes, go ahead at it, rather than, as you say, Jan, delay it for another meeting, that it have to come back.
Agreed.
So we all agreed in that?
Yes.
Everybody agree?
Chairman,
Yeah.
can I just remind you, you've had a proposal and a second, but we haven't voted on it.
That's the chair's fault, not mine.
Well, we've had the same proposal seconded and proposed twice and voted on it independently, but now specifically independent to the
South
district
District
council.
Council. Yeah, that's what I was trying
Is
to get at.
anybody
Full
against that
proposal.
proposal? Or is everybody in favour of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stick your hands up. Thank you.
Everybody's right. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I look forward to coming back with the report.
See you next week then.
Very nice of you.